So y'all behave.
You want to go first? Who goes first, Ross? You go first or I go first?
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. I don't know.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for giving us time to do this. What we want to do is we want to start a roundtable discussion. Everyone's welcome to chime in. Everybody's welcome to ask questions, to participate in the discussion. It's pretty much, we want to give some time to open up the board to have us here to field a few questions, to talk, to chit chat, to discourse, to just spend time with each other. So naturally the rules apply to the site, apply here. Be courteous, be respectful, understand, but pretty much thank you for the opportunity, and here we go. Roz, do you have anything?
So we do these roundtables once a week at least, with members of the clergy in various ways. Seminarians, we check in on Sundays. Regular individuals of the clergy, we check in on Saturdays. And then we have a general assembly of the clergy once a month, so that people can have an opportunity to connect with us, and then to connect about what they're doing outside in their communities or inside in the dojo. And so we wanted to give you all an sort of like a sneak peek where you can ask questions, like Carlos said, ask questions, get to understand what the clergy is about. And today's topic is based on how we serve. We are members of the clergy of the dojo, but we also may have ministries outside of the dojo. So we want to talk a little bit about those and a little bit about what we do here in the temple as well. And so there are 3 members of the clergy here. Alexander, who is a former, or I forgot what the word is, and I want to say extemporaneous, but that's not the word. We have emeritus, there we go, emeritus pastor, myself, I'm an emeritus pastor, and also the VP of Clerical Affairs for the time being. And then there's Pastor Carlos, who is currently the pastor. And we have Knight Silvermane, who is a seminarian. So, yeah. So Carlos, why don't you start with how you serve in the temple?
Sure. I am blessed. I am filling the pastor position. I have the ability to come and pay attention to the spiritual, the side of things, the walks of life that every Jedi takes. It is my privilege. It is my joy. I get to talk with people one-on-one in the temple about their lives. It's a wonderful thing. I get to help people come to a place where they can develop some certain skills that are of need, some certain resources. There's a number of things that in the temple I do because I've had an experience over an expanded period of time. So each time things change, things grow, and I'm not trying to puff myself up, but as time does grow on, you do get to do more things if that's your choice. You do get to develop a different sense of support. And it's through the temple that I do most of my ministry directly. And a lot of what I do is support. So I get to support knights. I get to support the clergy. I get to support in the roles that I play. I get to support the council. I get to support a lot of different organizations and different pathways in our temple. But the most wonderful is to be the pastor of people that are Jedi. It's amazing because there's different needs at different times in our lives. There's different places that we go to for direction and for hope and for confidence, and it's a mix of everything. So what I do, and I try to do, is I try to support as much as possible, and try to give people liberties that the temple itself has given me. So if I can do that for someone else, then that's part of my ministry in the temple, is to support and to give liberty, and to discuss liberties, and to be there as the development happens. That includes a lot of stuff though, but that's just in a short amount of time.
So there's a lot of things you do, like the Monday meditations. There's sermons, right? There's
yes.
Kind of take us through some of the stuff that you do as pastor, if you want.
Jeez, Ross, put me on the spot.
There we go.
It's all good. It's all good. Each pastor gets to serve in kind of their own groove and in their own way. So as Alex was prior pastor, as Rosalyn was prior pastor, everybody gets to get some time in them and get the feel of things going on. So a part of my current ministry, I start on Mondays for the temple, and I give some time. Hi, Jeff. I give Mondays to the temple to start off. I do a meditation in the morning. And to be quite honest, that meditation has been going on for about 4 or 5, maybe 6 years now, every Monday for a continued amount of time. And we go over doctrine. We go over a few things that are like every day kind of deals with Jediism and with what we do. But it starts early in the morning. I get up early in the morning and I start chatting with people, and I start taking questions. I start discussing things, taking confident. There's a way to say it, but using my oath of confidence in the morning. Some days, Sundays is a good day where people call in and they ask questions and they chit chat. But for the most part, being a pastor here and the way that I'm using it is I get to directly connect with people, and those willing share their relationships. They share their path with me, and we both influence each other one way or another. But then it's encouraging people to take their liberty to do the same thing. We got other seminarians who are coming through. We got current clergy who are, they'll pick a day. It's their day, or they'll pick a time slot or something, and just to be faithful and just to keep going, because nowadays it's what's present that helps. It's how much we can pay attention to right now. So a lot of what I do is stringing reminders of the present and what we can do presently, you can say.
All right, thank you, Carlos, or Pastor Carlos, rather. Alex, do you want to go first, or you want to go next?
What?
To answer the question.
What do I do in the church?
Yeah, as part of your ministry, as part of the clergy.
Mine's pretty much perennialist approach to things, which of course.
Can you move closer to your microphone? I can't really hear you.
Yes, I can do that. Okay.
That made me so happy.
Which one?
Master Alexander going, with what?
Sorry, what, Zach?
See?
What?
Jedi says what?
I can't understand the bloody thing you're saying.
I think he's picking on you. Yeah, all right.
Oh.
Yeah. Just if you can help us by answering the question, what do you do as a member of the clergy, right?
I was answering it. My approach to these things are much more perennialist. sort of embracing a lot of agnosticism. And I think that the best way that we can develop spirit is by, well, and that developing spirit, that's, what I think of chiefly as a metaphor for, our connection to the force. I feel that that has a lot to do with seeing more similarities in things than differences. And so, yeah, that's just kind of what I'm on about. And the occasional times that I do churn out a sermon, it's probably about as close to, hellfire and brimstone as Jedi actually get. I mean, we don't, it's pretty soft stuff. But then sometimes, it's like I was telling Carlos a week or so ago, sometimes clergy has to be a little bit scary. It's not all about, encouragement. It's also about getting us to look at, how we're actually perceiving the world and how we're trying to drive that. And so occasionally, there's a place for the, shiny, happy, encouraging sermons, but there's also a place for the, be careful of our hubris ones. So I guess that's what I do in the temple.
You also provide a lot of like stability, right? So I don't know how to explain it, but like, historical kind of, you help us.
I'm a relic. Is that
No.
Institutional knowledge.
That's not
Well,
the right
yeah.
word, relic.
There's like, there's a certain grounding that is needed in order for us to do our work well, and I feel like you provide that, right?
Well, thank you, Rose. And that's not something that I could ever intentionally try to provide. But then if that is how you guys see me, well, then I'm flattered. So.
Yeah. So who wants to go next? Whoop, Jeff? Or Clerk Jeff?
I have a quick comment.
Zero had a comment.
Oh, hang on just a second. Zero?
I want to touch on something Master Alexander said, because it's something that just kind of slapped me in the face. At the temple, you got your different flavor of knights. Well, also with you guys, there's your different flavors of clergy. You got Alexander, who's the fire and brimstone, and you got Jeff, who's more of the happy-go-lucky, let me brighten your day minister. And you got Rosalyn, who is I can help. And then you got Carlos, who is just the ultimate realist. So it's neat seeing all you guys together and then hearing different perspectives on the exact same job.
Thank you, sir.
So then,
Yeah,
great. So much. Yeah.
Jeff,
then let's hear from. Let's hear from Jeff.
So for me, I am happy-go-lucky. I like to have a practical sense of spirituality, right? For me, it's about moving everyone forward. So, and that could be in mindset, that could be in, just inspiration. It could be just to connect. So often we live our lives as we're separate and we're not connected by the force. So for me, that's one of the things that I try to make sure that we're playing, that we're talking about. And I'm typically the one that does because for some reason I put this on, I'm typically the one that does each month's meditation or contemplation of the month. So it's kind of one that's been kind of fun to do that, since I was at the time when I took it on, I was the newest member of Clergy. I don't think so it's been fun, and I help make sure Facebook is all good. I'm trying to reach out to you. I invite people to all kinds of stuff.
Is there any clergy I skipped besides myself? Besides myself.
Let's hear yours, Rose.
Yes. So for me, being a member of the clergy has always been about service. So in the temple, what I do is I serve. I work my position right now is VP of Clerical Affairs, but it's also support everybody in their particular ministry. So like Carlos's desire for a prison ministry workbook, that's something I'm working on. I help Alex remember like he has a sermon due, or help him remember when meetings are and things like that. I support. I support a lot of people, but then for me, what sermons look like is really about giving people the tools, or giving people even the thought, some kind of practical thought process to go through. You'll notice that my sermons usually go with 3 points, and they really are 3 points that people can really grasp a hold on to. So even if they don't remember the fullness of the sermon, if they can just remember the 3 points that it brought forward, I think that those are very helpful. But outside of my Tokyo ministry, I also run something called Jedi Can, and I hope this is okay. But what I do, or what I have tried to do since 2014, when I was a novice, really was trying to get the Jedi into some sort of local community action. So related to various different things that they find in their community that needs to be helped or managed, or things like that, and really getting people connected to that sort of service mindset, so that when they do come to the temple, or when they do go to their respective orders, they come with that humility that can only come from serving. So I think that's it. Does anyone have any questions?
What we're talking about again?
Just any questions in general. I wanna open up the time spot here to let everybody know that I love what I do, and I'm so grateful that we have this opportunity to do this. I'm very, very grateful. There's a lot of things that we do that we're always in a rush for, that we're always, go and come and make it on time and stuff. So one of the questions Coyote asks is, how do you find your calling in the clergy? If I can answer that one for myself, it's an everyday thing. One of the things that one of my mentors is trying to instill is that relationships are fresh. It's best to pay attention to your relationship in the present. There's so much that's possible. I decided for myself what I was going to do with everybody else in my world and in my life. And I answered the question for myself, what of others? What was I going to do about everybody else in my life? So I decided that I wanted to find a selfless path that fit me well. And I found my calling to clergy by helping my fellow Jedi with understanding and with the things that we try to develop and the things that we strive for in life. That's how I found my calling. And it's one thing to hear a calling, but then to be able to be in it and to be able to understand that it's a place of benefit more than not. It's a different thing to be able to put yourself in a place where you start growing differently. That's kind of how I found my calling to clergy, because I started to grow during this focus a little bit differently and a little bit stronger than I would have if I didn't choose this path. So as I found my calling, it was to my fellow Jedi who helped me with understanding. So there is just no possible way that I did not want to help give back as much understanding as I can. So that's how I found my call in the clergy. And they let me in. So that's what they get. Roz?
Well, for me, I would say this. If you have even an inkling that you may be called to the clergy, follow that inkling. You know, we do have a bit of a standard in that one needs to be a knight first. And that is because of there's some kind of if we have people doing too many things at once, usually something will fall by the wayside, and we want to make sure that people are getting their training first, and then they're providing the the clerical assistance. But if you have an inkling of that, please do reach out to Carlos or myself or any of the other clergy just to talk about it. And you know, the honest to goodness truth is, we don't typically say no to people who are interested in clergy. We will say yes, and then you know, people then decide as they're going through the process whether or not this is something for them. You know, so follow that inkling, and you never know what kind of ministry you will be birthed out of that inkling. You know, does anybody else want to answer that?
Internet calling can sometimes be quite retrospective. I mean, as it were, you know, sometimes it does come with an epiphany, and sometimes it just comes from those moments where we're taking a sort of a self-inventory, and we realize that all the values that we're left with, that we cling to, are also that which, you know, we would like to, you know, share with others. So I think that a calling can sometimes be very, very slow over a lot of time until one realizes, oh, you know, I'm really, you know, the calling is from the inside out, not the outside in. Sorry, that's my uptake on it.
There was someone who asked, what are the gaps in the clergy? What needs are going unfulfilled?
Yeah.
Are the
Yellow
gaps in the clergy?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
We have positions. We have clerical positions available. Right now, currently, we need a associate. Is that right?
Associate?
We have a list somewhere on the temple. We have a list of the opening all open positions are posted all the time until they're filled. So with the clergy, because that's kind of the way that we do our bylaws. So we do have a list.
Fill that one for the time being.
Send them fill the VP of Clerical Affairs.
There we go. That's what, yeah. And
yeah,
this is sort of 2 roles.
Starting in September.
Associate pastor of clerical affairs, or you know, whatever it was that John took.
One thing that I would say is Carlos is big on making sure that we just don't give offices to people, that people demonstrate a level of commitment and loyalty before they do the work. So even though there are gaps, we will wait until the right person comes to fulfill that position rather than just placing someone in there.
And the biggest gap that we're missing in clergy is you, to be quite honest. And I'm not just saying that.
There you go.
That's not, I'm not just saying that to put that commercially out there. The only colors that we can show, the only possibilities that we can show are those that we know, and we won't know until you show up. You know what I mean? I don't know all the possibilities quite yet in life because you haven't shared them with me. You know, you haven't shared them with me, and we haven't taken that time. So the one thing that's actually missing in clergy is your being, because you have such a circle of contact and a circle of understanding that I myself would like to be a part of, and I would like to share. So that's kind of, if that answers your question, as soon as you show up, you're going to fill the gap that only you can fill, because that's what's on your heart. That's on your plate. That's what kind of things that you see that we don't. That's
there you go.
Is to have as many as possible to reach everybody, because to be quite honest, I don't reach everybody. There's no possible way. And I do not try. That is not my job to reach everybody and to give everybody everything and 100%. I can't do it. But I got people like Roz. I got people like Jeff and Alex, and there's different people who keep different things up. So as soon as you show up, I guarantee you that's the spot you're going to fill. So just to put that out there, clergy's missing you.
Exactly. So the next question is, what kinds of trainings do you undertake? Do Knights training to become clergy apprentice to a present clergy person? I can answer the second part of the question. Yes, Knights who are training to become clergy, we don't call them apprenticeships because people likely already have a team, but we do call them mentors. And mentors are like IP sponsors. If you're familiar with the IP team, they kind of review journals, and then after a probation period of where you're a licensed minister, then you kind of see what other people are doing for ministry, and then you kind of try to create something, and then someone will go alongside you and say, okay, this is good, let's try this also, that sort of thing. That's the plan. In terms of what kind of training someone undertakes, well, there's the legality of it, so like understanding the laws that are in your locale about marrying, burying, and those types of things, very important, and about mandatory reporting and those types of things, what's important there. But then there's also like, how do Jedi minister? And so that's a lot of the training as well. And so we do a lot of that. Our training is also under development. So the current training, we still have that open, but there's a few of us in the clergy that are working on developing another seminary training. So it's a variety of training.
We do have a curriculum. I think is what the question was. We do have a curriculum.
Yeah.
Curriculum, and we do have a mentor style apprenticeship kind of.
Did I answer your question, Rebecca?
Yes, ma'am, it did. Thank you.
Yeah.
No.
Any other questions?
I've got one for you. For all of you.
Oh, goodness.
Most of you know I have a religious degree, and most of you know that degree caused a major crisis of faith that led me to Tocho. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering if any of you have ever experienced a crisis of faith as Jedi.
Yes, can I raise my hand? I'm going to raise my hand real high.
I'm going to call on anybody but Rosalyn.
What?
I'm kidding, Bestie, you're up.
So this is just my personal crisis of faith. So when I came to Tocho, I was still very heavily involved in my Christian faith and organized Christianity. And an opportunity to become an intern with a local mega church came up, and I was very, very close. And in fact, I actually talked to Alexander about this, about pursuing the internship. What happened was that they were going to be looking through everything that I was doing. And a lot of people who are in organized Christianity, there's a commandment in there that says that you shall not have other gods before me. And so they have a lot of views about, crystals being witchcraft, and anything that looks like a religion that is not Christianity is of the devil and that sort of thing. Anything new age or quote unquote new age is of the devil. And I was willing to give that up, or to give up Judaism to pursue internship. And then, I threw everything away. I threw my robes away, I threw my sabers away, I threw everything that everybody ever gave me away. And then I got my heart broken. Came back I left council, I left all my offices, I left everything. And then I got my heart broken. And it's the benefit of Tocho and the openness of Tocho that brought me back. All of my friends, all of the people who came and received me back. And yeah, so yes, it is possible to have a crisis of faith as Jedi. It is, but Jediism is a very open religion. So that's part of the reason why I returned. So yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah, actually, I can talk to this. I had, when I first started studying, I always went with the clergy. So that was the main reason why I came to the temple. I was looking at other ways to get ordained, and I wanted something that actually you had to study, you had to go through and really be there. Because I knew that was next in my journey. And I had a hard time with force. I had a hard time really, and for a long time I would say the force or whatever, and I started really in the last 4 or 5 months, really being comfortable with the force. I'm really comfortable that I'm a Jedi, that I am, this is what I believe, and to me, a lot of it is the study of the connection between all. It's just, you have to come to your own terms with how you see and perceive, and how you practice. So it's one of the things I love about it, because I don't have to go and do this whole dogma of someone else's dogma, or I'm not practicing a Judaism. For me personally, the sabers don't do. Okay, I get the idea, I get the whole symbolism of it, but it's not something I need. So just, and no one's here saying, "Oh, you have to have a lightsaber, or you have to have robe, or you have to have this, or you have to have that, or you're not a Jedi." It's okay, this is how I choose. This is how I show it, and this is how I work with it.
Thank you. I grew up rough. I've never had a faith that I called well enough to call my own. I found Jediism surfing the internet, and I'm not an internet surfer. I found the doctrine. I found the library. I found something that united humanity for me. I was missing a lot of my humanity. I was missing a lot of the things that were of benefit. So I've never really had a crisis of religion or of spirituality, because to be quite honest, I've never had it growing up. And Jediism was my first introduction to something that united everything. It was my first introduction to sit down and pay attention in that way. So I've never really had a problem with it, as much as I have a problem with explaining um, some of the things and relating them. A lot of my teachers, a lot of my training masters, and a lot of my mentors right now are explaining to me the importance of understanding and being able to relay it differently. Because I'll scratch on a rock. I'm very primitive in my ways, but it's through this type of learning and this type of faith and these type of people that I allow into my own little circle. I've never really had a problem with the faith part of Jediism, because it's more of an understanding than a faith. For me, it's an understanding that I can have and give to someone else, and then it's not an answer. It's never a definitive anything. It's more of a, this fits. Try this on for you. This is my gift to you. So I never really had, that's just me though. I've never really had a crisis of faith, as much as I've found something to understand better. That makes, yeah.
So I'm actually quite curious to see if Master Alexander has a thought on it.
I think that crisis of faith is not always a bad thing, because what we call faith is often merely the stories we keep repeating to ourselves, and those stories of things that we merely want to be true. So we can't really be so certain of even what we have faith in. The crisis of faith then is imminent whenever we realize that what we have, the story that we've been telling ourselves, is implausible. And then we have to find something else to have faith in. So that's sort of why, like I said, I lean toward the perennialist, conception of the force. That's just, the same force that's, that gives us successes and talents and capabilities, is also the same force that, does supernovas and gamma ray bursters and all sorts of things that destroy. I guess that the crisis of faith is sometimes a kind of a good thing to have. I mean, we're not going to look forward to it. It's not going to be pleasant, but it kind of helps us refine where we're placing our faith and what in. I hope I didn't disappoint you, Zach.
Not at all. I think that's the answer I relate to very closely. For those of you who don't know, I have a doctorate in theology and Christianity. And in the process of getting that doctorate, I looked harder at the religion itself and where the Bible came from and why it was written. Not just what it says, but the why behind it. And it completely broke me. And for about 6-7 months, I was wandering aimlessly. And then I found Tojo. And it gave me that place where I can believe something different than Pastor Carlos. And my view of the Force in general can be different than Master Rosalyn's. And can be different than J.P. Atkins and still be correct. And that's something that's rare in any church. Every church you go to, whether it's a Catholic church, a Buddhist temple, it doesn't matter. They're all telling you this is the way. Very Mandalorian about it. This is how you do it. And if you do it different, you're wrong. Jediism doesn't do that. Jediism says what works for you is right. And that makes a church real easy to fall in love with.
You got to remember, one of the things that we come together under, we unite. We try not to pay attention too much to the finger or the lightsaber or the toys or the lights, but what we're actually focusing on. And the old saying from the Bruce Lee movie is, don't pay attention to the finger, you'll miss the heavenly glory. It's what we point to. It's what we're trying to focus on. And it's not that, it's not that, you know, we all have different, it's that our perspectives are different. It's that we're allowed to be human and have our own sides and have our own perspectives, but at the same time to come and unite under the same banners sometimes. And I'm grateful that we have Jedi, because we do need Jedi. We do need people who care the way that Jedi do. And I'm thankful for that.
One of the things I would say is that we're all unique expressions of the Force, right? So obviously, it makes a lot of sense that the way that we, to use a colloquialism, feel the Force and express the Force and know the Force is going to be unique to us. That's why our ministries are going to all be unique. As you can see, Carlos and I and Alex and Clergy JP, we all do different ministries, but we all are moving, we all are sharing, we all are demonstrating a connection to the Force. Not so we can say, okay, we're all following Pastor Carlos, and this is, but so that we can, like Carlos says, give people liberty by our own expression, our own understanding, our own sharing, to explore the Force in their own way. That I think is the mission of the clergy, beyond anything else.
For me, I think Jediism all breaks down to probably the most simple and basic question for all of humanity, and it's why. I give my apprentices all a lesson called Meaning in Everything. For me, Jediism is all about finding my own meaning in things. And if something doesn't mean anything to me, then removing it from my life and keeping the things that do have meaning. And I think I got that lesson from Atticus. It's one of the few he passed down to me. And it's been life altering, that one lesson. And yeah, I make it kind of cartoony. We talk about lightsabers and Jedi robes, but then we also talk about the things you surround yourself with at home and finding not just a use for it, but a meaning in it. And that in itself can be very, very religious. And that's reshaped my whole definition of religion. For me, it's not even all about the Force. It's about why. Why do supernovas happen? Why, when I touch the wall, do I not just fall through it, since atoms are mostly empty space? Why do I feel a huge connection to my purple lightsaber? Why do I look more deeply at words after doing the Ganymede progression?
There's magic in reflection, I'll tell you that much.
It's almost like I picked that as the theme for the summer camp for a reason.
There you go. There you go.
Anyone else have any questions or comments, concerns?
Yeah, we're coming up on the end of the hour.
Right. Anything they want
So
to...
anybody got any?
There we go.
As clergy, what ways do you... Oh, hold on. Let's see. As clergy, what ways do you suggest that Jedi can serve both the Jedi community as well as the community at large? Or should we just find, I'm assuming, our own way? Rebecca, do you want to go ahead and tackle that question, Carlos? Pastor Carlos?
Sure. So it is my practice to encourage everybody to turn to their own community. It's my encouragement to tell everybody that they have a circle of people, their own little families, their own little circle of trust, their own little circle of life. And I encourage everyone to turn to that as often as possible. Whatever you need, turn to your own circle as often as you can. Now, as Jedi, we have lots of different family circles. We have lots of different Jedi circles. We have work circles. We have life circles. We have just commute circles. We have all these relationships. And it's through the relationships that we find life. That's where we do the adjusting, is the attention that we give to what we are related to. So as part of what we do as Jedis, we use the symbol knight, the Jedi Knight, and we use the clergy as a symbol. Those symbols can be used throughout the community. They can also be used throughout the Jedi community, and they can also be used through your work community, your life community, your little circles, your big circles. You can be used anywhere you want. Okay. So our idea is to turn it on inside the individual, the person, to be able to help you do whatever it is that you feel the need for. I can share ways that people actually serve their community. I can give you lists and ideas of things that people do and put nails to board, or feet to shoes, or paper to mail, or things of that nature. That people are amazing if you pay attention to amazing people. People are shitty too if you pay attention to shitty people. But the idea is, how do you want to serve? Do you want to hang out with people who don't do anything? Then by all means, sleep with dogs and get fleas. But there are ways to serve. I send letters to people. It happened in the course of time that those letters got to people incarcerated. So now there's a ministry out there from Brother John's focus and this focus and the new focus and people sharing. And now there's some type of ministry going on where we're sending letters and books to people in prison and locked up. And there's Jedi folk who have people that they know, and they call and they ask if we can send them stuff. So it's a big circle and a little circle. So I've sent letters and books to fellow Jedi members, family members in jail as well. So that's one way you can serve the Jedi community as well as your own community. You can give somebody a book and serve that way. It just all depends on how you serve and what colors are inside and what best way you describe and what you can do and where your heart really is. Because I can encourage you to give you 100 different ways to do different things, but if it's not in there, if one of those things is not in you, it's not your thing, that you don't want to talk to these people, or you don't want to reach out, or you don't actually necessarily, it's not there, then it's useless. So there are ways that you can join in on people actually serving currently in the temple and in the community. There are ways to serve at your local level as well. And if you would like later to get with me, I can put you in touch with people who are doing the local thing. I can get you in touch with people who are doing the not so local thing, the international thing. I can get in touch with you with people who are doing the jailhouse thing. I can get in touch with you with people who are actively doing things. And if you like, you can sit down and talk to them, send them messages, and they'll get with you and they'll link up with you. And that's part of the support that we do here, is you can do whatever you want in the human potential. If it's humanly possible, it can be done, because more likely it has been done before. So if that answers your question, I hope. Roz had her hand up.
What I was going to say is similar to what you were going to say, but I wanted to bring forward a lesson that a TM before I had Alex gave to me, and it was to ask the Force a question. You know, and sometimes you can ask the Force a question every day, or I recommend asking the Force a question every day. One of the questions can be, how can I serve today? part of the reason why I chose my profession that I chose, psychiatric rehabilitation, was, because I asked the force a question, what is the greatest amount of need? And that's how I do everything. That's how I decide what kind of volunteer organizations I'll be a part of. That's how I decide what sort of work I'll do at the temple. That's how I decide what kind of sermons I'll write. It has to come. It's like what Senior Night Zero was saying. There has to be a meaning behind what we're doing. And if there's no meaning, it's just work. It's just work. And we don't want people just to work. So it really has to come from you. It really has to. It's not necessarily what you think the place needs. It's what you feel the place needs. And that's something that can only be directed by the force. Okay, this is where the need is. Okay, sometimes I know that I'll get kind of anxious because I can't do river cleanups because I know that the environment needs help with the river needs to be healed and things like that. But it's also about Jedi understanding their limitations. Okay, I can't do a river cleanup. Okay, but I can go sit with somebody in hospice. And what is the there's no like pecking order of this is the greatest activity, this is the least second greatest, and this is the third greatest, and this is the fourth greatest. It's what the force leads you toward, and what you can actually do within your power. That's what is needed. And so odds are you've had a stirring, or you may have not, but you may have had a stirring for this particular community or for that particular thing that needs to be done. And follow that, because that's where the greatest payoff. Well, I hate to say payoff, but that's the only word I can think of right now. That's where the greatest impact will be. It's when you follow the force. Hi, Serenity. Welcome.
We out of time?
We can be.
Someone else has a class, right?
Huh?
I think there's another class after this at 1, right?
No, there isn't. Actually, this class, there's an auction in about an hour.
Sweet. So then, let's leave it open. Let's hang around. Yay!
Great.
All right, let's carry on. Anybody have any questions, comments, off the cuff? You want to stop the recording for an hour?
Yes, stop the recording.